What's the music? Thank you, it worked. Welcome, friends, comrades, fellows, families, friends, friends of artists from near and far, and even farther than that. Medal Day is MacDowell's annual opportunity to recognize an artist of distinction and to stage an annual open house. It's the only day of the year when you can visit artist studios. Ordinarily, our fellow studios are their castles in the sky and their places in the forest, their private places for their own creation. After all, MacDowell's mission, our only mission, is to give artists of excellence the freedom to create. In the last year or so, MacDowell has become ever more visible through social media, yes, through social media, and the national and international personal appearances of our excellent executive director, Chiwoniso Kaitano. MacDowell is also fortunate in having a dedicated staff here in Peterborough and also in New York City, for without them, our fellows would not be able to dedicate themselves to their work so smoothly and so completely. So thank you to Chi, and thank you to the entire MacDowell staff for your work year-round and for this excellent Medal Day celebration. This is my last time welcoming you as Madam Chairman, thank you, of the MacDowell Board, a position I've held since the spring of 2020. 2020. The year of coronavirus, when this campus welcomed medical workers from our local hospital to stay in empty studios because the artists could not come. Now, while we were briefly closed to artists, some of those medical workers may also have become artists in their own right. In 2020, we created Virtual MacDowell, and I hosted a series of conversations on art and artists in partnership with the 92nd Street Y in New York. We pivoted, but unfortunately, we held no Medal Day in 2020. In subsequent years, however, I've had the great pleasure of meeting an extraordinary group of medalists from a variety of fields. And I should tell you that it is artists who decide who the medalists will be. The fields rotate, but it's always artists who decide. From 2021 through 2024, we honored Roseanne Cash, Sonia Sanchez, Alanis Obamsiwan, and virtually Yoko Ono. In a sense, I feel that my entire tenure the last few years has been made up of periods of extraordinary turmoil. In the hard sense of the coronavirus, in the breathtaking roller coaster year of the George Floyd demonstrations and protests, and now in these current terrifying times. We face alarming uncertainty. That is we as MacDowell community and we of citizens of the United States and the world at large. We need art and artists now more than ever, and I do not doubt that art and artists will show us old and new ways to face these scary moments. But art alone will not save us. We need artists to be citizens against injustice and genocide, and for democracy and human rights. Thank you. Today's medalist, the distinguished photographer, filmmaker, and architect, Alfredo Jaar, is more than an artist of wide and deep range. He's an artist with a truly international reach, not only in his subject matter of the people who were too often overlooked, but also in the variety of languages through which his art is discussed. In any year, MacDowell would gladly take the opportunity to celebrate him and his work. But today, on the cusp of the second quarter of the 21st century, in the midst of roiling animosities, we doubly thank Alfredo Jaar for the chance to applaud this gift of visible empathy. Thank you. And now, with great appreciation for her friendship and partnership over the past 2 years and for her tireless work on the board since 2017, I'd like to introduce you to the president of MacDowell's Board of Directors, Christine Fisher. Christine.
Thank you, Nell, and thank you, everyone. It's so wonderful to join you for another Medal Day. So Medal Day has always been a moment to celebrate with our community, to honor MacDowell's history and legacy, to recognize this current moment, and to share our hopes for the future. Today, we have the distinct pleasure of celebrating 65 years of the Edward MacDowell Medal, a truly remarkable milestone. But as many of you know, MacDowell's story began more than a century ago, when Marion and Edward MacDowell first envisioned a place where artists could create in a distraction-free environment, surrounded by fellow artists. They laid the foundation for something extraordinary. Since then, more than 9,000 artists across a wide range of disciplines have found inspiration on this beautiful campus. Just as MacDowell has nurtured some of the most enduring works of creative imagination, the organization itself has endured thanks to the steadfast support of so many of you in our community. We are deeply grateful to our corporate sponsors and partner organizations whose support helps us to continue this important work. F.L. Putnam, the Putnam Foundation, Delta Dental, and the Savings Bank of Walpole. We also extend heartfelt thanks to our individual donors, Emily Leff and so many others, and to our dedicated Medal Day host committee leaders, Monica and Michael Lehner, Jessica Quinn, and Sarah Garland Hoke. While there are too many generous supporters to name here, please know that every gift to MacDowell, large and small, makes a meaningful impact. You help ensure that artists have the space and support to do their best creative work, and you make gatherings like today possible. So thank you. MacDowell's strength has been, and always will be, reflected in the caliber of artists we support with time and space to create. MacDowell has also drawn strength from a long history of dedicated leaders, my colleagues on the board, and our incredible staff, who all serve as stewards of Marion and Edward's great Peterborough idea. We just had the pleasure of hearing from one of those leaders, Nell Irvin Painter. Nell's career as a professor of history at UPenn, UNC, and Princeton is well documented. She is the author of 9 books, including the insightful biography Sojourner Truth, A Life, a Symbol, the New York Times bestseller The History of White People, and last year's I Just Keep Talking, A Life in Essays, which made it to many best of lists. After retiring from Princeton, Nell returned to school, earned a BFA and an MFA, and completed a memoir about the experience at MacDowell in 2016. It's called Old in Art School, and was the finalist for the National Book Critics Circle Autobiography Award. She also just received the Arts and Letter Award in Literature in May from the American Academy of Arts and Letters. Nell's first residency at MacDowell was in 2016, and she was one of those fellows who regularly engaged with staff and expressed a warm curiosity about the people who worked there and her fellow artists. Nell became Madam Chairman of our board at MacDowell in 2020. She accepted this role during tumultuous times while we were all navigating COVID and the death of George Floyd. As all arts organizations question their societal roles, we too grappled with our culture, mission, and values. Were we the best organization that we could be? Throughout it all, Nell offered her clear, resolute voice and level-headed responses to sometimes very difficult conversations. Her sense of equity and ability to sit with hard topics without recoiling from them helped us through those trials so that we ultimately came out a better and stronger organization, more grounded in our true values. So this will be the last medal day that Nell will preside over, and we will miss her when she steps down. In recognition of Nell's leadership and tenure as our esteemed board chair, I am pleased to announce the establishment of the Nell Irvin Painter Endowed Fellowship for 20th Century Artists. Nell has always been passionate about giving artists who may have been overlooked early in their careers an opportunity to flourish and realize their full potential. This fellowship honors that passion and the impact of Nell's work. Nell, would you please stand so we can acknowledge you one more time? Thank you so much, Nell. Now I'd like to welcome MacDowell's resident director, David Macy.
Oh, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Nell, Chi, and Alfredo. To all the current fellows, I'd like to start by saying that I know you're out there somewhere, and I'd ask if you could stand up for a moment just so that we can see that you are scattered here in the crowd. Thank you for giving us a chance to thank you for jumping into the fray of this big, beautiful thing that we call Medal Day. Because it's an annual event, I invite everyone to extend those thanks to all the fellows whose books are stacked on our nightstands, for the music and the films that lit up our favorite theaters and concert halls, and to MacDowell's visual artists who, like Alfredo Jaar, last night in the fog, stop us in our tracks, somehow making the familiar unfamiliar and re-enchanting the world right before our eyes. We were here in the fog last night and the neon glow with more than 200 guests for a fundraiser under this tent that marked the Medal Day debut of our new chef, Eric Johansson. Supported by the mighty kitchen assistants, Eric, Janine, Wendy, Steve, and Zach spoke in the universal language of ritual feast. Special thanks to them and to each member of the staff whose efforts simultaneously keep this residency program humming while also hitting just the right notes in the orchestral score that is this very public event. Because MacDowell Fellows are in residence all year round, our dining room has seen countless ritual feasts, and past fellows have described the vibe at Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Seder's as dreamy, like gatherings of a wild and sprawling, non-dysfunctional family. In this past winter, I was delighted when I realized that a number of fellows were slated to return to Peterborough after a hiatus of 10, 20, even 30 years. I gathered their reflections from the present day about, with their vantage now from mid to late career, and some common themes emerged about those first residencies. Given the long odds of acceptance, receiving news of their first fellowship landed as a deeply meaningful affirmation. And second, family and friends, they bought it. MacDowell is a legitimate reason to chuck all those everyday obligations and go live offline, if just for a short time. And because the wider world often shows a sort of vaguely callous apathy towards art and artists, the genuine respect that's radiating from the MacDowell came as a sharp contrast. And it was felt every day on campus, in the staff's unobtrusive kindness, in the produce growing outside the garden to be served on the table indoors, and the magical noontime appearance of that fabled basket lunch. And coming to MacDowell at the beginning of what have since become very full careers, it took multiple weeks before they could see that their dinner companions, even those with long resumes, were becoming their peers. Simultaneously empowering and humbling, it helped lower their defenses and helped open a childlike playfulness. So while the studio is where the work gets done, the spirit of MacDowell is most alive at mealtime, in that delicate social space where new ideas and new friendships emerge like branches reaching toward the sun. Now, all of us know this firsthand, the way a convivial and mouth-watering meal heightens our senses, unleashes creativity, energy, and new possibilities. And I think this is a culinary authority on par with MFK Fisher, and James Beard was Daffy Duck, who said, drool. So, because this ceremony precedes your picnic lunch, I'll skip the drum roll and I'll ask you to join me in a rousing Medal Day welcome for MacDowell's peerless and extraordinary Executive Director, Chiwaniso Chi Kaitana.
Thank you, David. It's wonderful to be here again with all of you. If you had told me that I would one day share a stage with the inimitable Madam Chairman Nell Painter, I would not have believed you. Nell, scholar, artist, mentor to me and so many others, towering intellectual, I feel deeply honored to have had my time at MacDowell overlap with yours. I thank you, and MacDowell thanks you. In another life, I was a young law student studying human rights law and the laws of war during a time when there was an immense human tragedy unfolding in Rwanda, where neighbors were turning against neighbors. It's difficult to accurately communicate the horror of that moment in time, but today's medalist, Alfredo Jaar, did just that with his seminal and monumental Rwanda project, which took on many forms over 6 years and addressed this great crime head-on by urging us to sit with individual stories of survival and resilience. This epic work had great resonance when it was being presented, just as it does now. If anything, work of this nature, work that is decisive and political, that calls attention to society's ills, has become more important and more vital and more necessary than ever before. It is an honor. It is an honor to welcome Alfredo Jaar as MacDowell's 65th Edward MacDowell Medalist, a monumental artist who has created and embraced art of great consequence and great truth. What a tangled and disturbing time we live in. The global societal, social, and political currents currently in the news are on everyone's mind. In the last year, as I've had the good fortune to connect with artists and art communities all over the country and overseas, one question always comes up, and that is, how is MacDowell meeting this moment? This moment where it seems the arts and art organizations are under siege. To that question, and today before you, I'll answer how I always answer. We will do what we have always done, what MacDowell has always done throughout its history. We're staying the course. The oldest property on this land, one of our dormitories, the Eaves, was built in 1785. The main hall right behind us was a barn constructed in the 1790s. The campus, as we see it today, with all of the studios, has been well over a century in the making. And well before any of us set foot on this ground, the Abenaki Nation had flourishing communities on this land. There is history upon history upon history on this land. If we think of just the last 100-odd years, we've seen 2 world wars and countless tragic conflicts, including those currently in our news. We've experienced not 1, but 2 global pandemics. While this current moment seems particularly uncertain and particularly perilous, we should remember that we've had seasons like this before. Through it all, MacDowell will do then what we are doing now, centering the care and nurture of artists above all else. 125 years ago, a woman and her husband bought a farm, and on that farm, this farm, a great seed was planted. If you give an artist time, space, and freedom to create, amazing things will happen. That woman was Marion MacDowell, and it is because of her and her willpower that we are here today under this tent once again. Marion built an average of 1 studio per year in the years 1908 to 1922, during years when undoubtedly few completely understood the project. She persisted and she excelled in her project, spanning a time when women couldn't even vote. Would Marion have imagined any of this? That on these 450 acres in southern New Hampshire, the greatest artworks would be made, art that would cross time, space, and geography. I'll wager that not only would she have imagined it, it was her specific intent. Marion MacDowell dreamed an idea so big that nobody thought she could pull it off, and yet here we are, over a century later. The impact that this institution and its fellows have made in the world of arts and letters is immeasurable. MacDowell will endure, art made here and beyond will endure whatever current political or cultural moment we find ourselves in, so long as we continue to give artists the freedom to speak their truths. Art traverses time, space, and geographies, and in this uncertain age, it reminds us of our humanity. Thank you all for being part of the MacDowell Project. Our friend Ned Rifkin, who was to present the medalist with his award today, had an unavoidable medical emergency a few days ago. We wish him well. He could not join us today, but I am honored to read the remarks that he had prepared. It is extremely difficult to know how to define and even evaluate the work that an artist creates and offers forth into the world. Because human perception is a largely subjective phenomenon, we must rely on our own personal sense of values to assess how works of art function and operate. There are many well-known quotations about art that may help us better understand how art manifests in the larger world. The one I find most salient and meaningful is from the great Swiss artist who taught at the Bauhaus, Paul Klee. He wrote in what is most often referred to as his creative credo: art does not represent what is visible, art makes visible. Making visible is the closest way of appreciating the role of the creative artist. All kinds of phenomena are already visible, but how to make the visible salient, how to create something that engenders emotional empathy with intelligent insight is, for me, the key to considering the impact of a work of art. I've been extremely fortunate to work with numerous talented and accomplished artists over my multi-decade career as a curator and art museum director. Each artist is unique. Most artists look at the world and elect to turn inward somehow in order to achieve what we most often call self-expression. This typically involves inventing a personal visual language to embody their emotional and spiritual selves. However, there is another kind of artist. These others look out at the world, take in what they see, only to extrude their thoughts and feelings through a personal filter, creating what I like to call a representation of reality rather than a representation or faithful depiction of their own vision. Historically, the artist who first impressed me in this particular way was the Spanish master Francisco de Goya. He had been an accomplished royal court painter in his early years, but as the atrocities of the Napoleonic Wars became a reality he endured, his work became emphatically social and political in nature. The horrors he witnessed became his waking nightmares. He published a series of aquatints between 1810 and 1820 entitled The Disasters of War. They have indelibly etched themselves into our collective consciousness. Today, there is the rare artist who manages to move around the globe, visiting the sites of our own disasters of war in order to report to us through his unique poetic sensibility the ongoing inhumanity we human creatures impose on less fortunate others. Alfredo Jaar has combined a journalistic impulse with his astonishing abilities to distill and represent to us the poignancies of man's inhumanity to man. His remarkable touch enables him to make visible, as Clay had defined, for us, an art that awakens in us our powerful empathy and compassions for the victims of our flawed human nature. I salute Alfredo Jaar, a friend, a brave leading artist who enables those of us who understand and value that seeing is believing for his singular achievements within this sphere of the visual arts and culture. Alfredo, you have opened our eyes to what you have witnessed and seen and made us all more alive in our conscientious pursuit of humanity, even as it is willfully diminished by the dark forces amongst us. Your friend, Ned Rifkin. Thank you. And now I invite Madam Chairman Nell Painter to honor Alfredo Jaar with the Edward MacDowell Award.
I am so delighted to hand you this, but I'm going to show it around to the audience before I show it. Okay. Going to say something? Yes. Do you want to? You want to hold on to it, or how do you think? Okay.
After an introduction like this, I'd rather go home. I don't want to speak. First, I would like to thank all of you for sharing this special moment with me. I'm deeply honored by your presence. I want to express my gratitude to Ned Rifkin for his incredibly too generous introduction, and to Chiwoniso for reading his speech to us. Dear Ned, I wish you a swift and complete recovery. I would also like to thank Chiwoniso, Brett, Anya, Jericho, and the entire team at MacDowell for your hospitality and impeccable organization of this event. MacDowell is an extraordinary support structure, a refuge for artists of all disciplines, and an exceptional community of thinkers. Its existence blesses us so greatly. MacDowell is a space of hope. I must express my deep gratitude as well to the members of the jury who selected me as a recipient of the 2025 MacDowell Medal. I was honestly astonished at their choice. I thought it was a mistake. I have not stopped asking the universe what I have done to deserve this incredible honor. Koyo Kuo was a member of this jury and left us last month. She was the most brilliant curator of her generation, a visionary and an exceptional human being. I dedicate this medal to her. Lastly, I would like to thank my wife, Evelyn, and my son, Nicolas, for their unwavering support and love. I would certainly not be here if it were not for both of you. When I looked at the list of previous medal recipients, I was humbled to see many of my personal heroes. It is their outstanding work and dedication that have brought me here today. The resilience I learned from MacDowell medalist Toni Morrison, for example, has been a guiding force for me. As she so powerfully stated, don't let anybody convince you this is the way the world is, and therefore must be. It must be the way it ought to be. In these challenging times, her words resonate more than ever, echoing the sentiments of MacDowell Fellows James Baldwin and Audre Lorde. Please allow me to repeat her words once more. Don't let anybody convince you this is the way the world is, and therefore must be. It must be the way it ought to be. I never studied art. I'm an architect. I define myself as an architect who makes art. And for an architect, context is everything. As an artist, I respond to context. But in order to respond to any given context, I must understand it. To do this, I engage in a great amount of research. I will not respond to any given context before I fully understand it. For that, I've embraced a guiding principle, which is, I will not act in the world before understanding the world. I will not act in the world before understanding the world. And what is the context today? This country is going through an unprecedented attack on everything we hold dear. Democracy, human rights, free speech, and the rule of law. Censorship is emerging everywhere. Universities and museums are under attack. If that was not enough, we are sponsoring a genocide and we are supporting an apartheid system. And the last week, we illegally bombed another country. In these times, resistance is essential. In a world where politics have failed us miserably, it is in the realm of art and culture that we will find the answers. Resistance is crucial. But then, what is art? There are an infinite number of definitions of art, My favorite is from Nigerian writer Chinua Achebe, someone I admired deeply. He wrote, "Art is our attempt to change the order of reality that has been given to us." Imagine, to change the order of reality that has been given to us. How do we accomplish this? I have no idea. And it is a question that drives me. It is a search for an answer to that question that fueled my artistic process. That is why I'm an artist, in search of that answer. How do we do this? And this unprecedented moment calls for new strategies. And we haven't found them yet, but we will, because we have no choice. To close, I want to express my deep admiration and gratitude to the uncompromising resistance of hundreds of thousands of university and school students who have renewed my faith in humanity and given me the strength to persevere. Their extraordinary courage and determination have inspired hope within me over the past 2 years. They have faced threats of imprisonment, yet continued to speak out. They were warned that their degrees could be revoked and faced the risk of expulsion from this country. They sacrificed the support of their universities and schools for their beliefs. Despite these threats, they remain steadfast in their commitment to free speech and human rights, demonstrating to the world that they would not be silenced. Their courage in the face of adversity is a beacon of hope for us all. Don't let anybody convince you this is the way the world is, and therefore must be. It must be the way it ought to be. To these students, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being on the right side of history. And now, you students, I implore you, please teach us to outgrow our madness. I am truly honored to join the remarkable group of artists recognized by the Edward MacDowell Medal. Thank you again for this incredible honor. Thank you.
That is impossible to follow with anything except a little bit of augmentation of your program. The 2 studios that are listed as closed are actually open, Star Studio in Calderwood. I heartily encourage a visit to Calderwood, as I have been told that it is in fact enchanted. And there is also a site-specific installation at the amphitheater this year that was installed just yesterday by our artists who are in Eastman Studio. And with that, I bid you goodbye and good lunch. much in my heart good to see your experience of the life, you know, because that's really where it's